Hello and welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport. And today we are going to take a look at the Formula E race from Diriyah in Saudi Arabia, as well as a couple of other races that happened at the weekend. This is the first Motorsport Roundup I've done for ages because they didn't really get a lot of views, so I stopped doing them. But there's quite a lot to say about the Formula E, as well as the V8 Supercars and the World Rally Championship. This was also the weekend where Hannu Mikkola passed away. He was a rally legend from Finland, and it's kind of fitting that a rally in Finland was happening when he passed. It was almost a tribute to him. But we have a lot to look at, so remember to subscribe. And with that said, let's begin.
Welcome to Frontrunner Motorsport.
So the Formula E started, and it had a very mixed up grid, and I have got notes, so I will look down occasionally. So we had Techeetahs, Virgins, Nissans, and Lucas di Grassi all starting near the back. They would have to make their way through the field. It actually didn't really work out like that. If the cars that started at the back tended to stay at the back. There wasn't a lot of movement forward, unless things happened, which did. But it took about 20 minutes before anything really happened in the race. And it really started to kick off when Edoardo Mortara pulled off one of the best overtakes I've seen in motorsport in a long time. So Mortara passes Mitch Evans on the inside, then darts across and overtakes Pascal Wehrlein on the outside, all in one corner. It was an incredible overtake, probably contender for overtake of the year. And it's only just turned March, so it was incredible. Mitch Evans got past Wehrlein as well, so I think Wehrlein was the one to really lose out. He lost 2 spaces in one corner. Shortly after that, Alex Lynn did one of the most stupid things I've seen in motorsport for a long time. Sam Bird was alongside on the inside, looked like he had the corner. Alex Lynn cut him off, both cars out. Safety car. Straight after safety car, we had Maximilian Günther crash as well, which brought out another safety car. And at the end, there was a little bit of chaos. I think Sebastian Buemi must have run out of energy or something and had to slow right down because I think a few cars collided with him at the end. All in all, it was a good race. It took time to really get going. It was only after really the 20-minute mark when things started to kick off. But it was a very exciting opener to Formula E. Nick de Vries won the race. He looks like a really good driver. I think he actually has more potential to win the championship than I gave him credit for. He can be a contender, I think. And there was a lot of big challengers who didn't score points, like John-Eric Verne, Sebastian Buemi, Antonio Felix da Costa didn't, Lucas di Grassi I think only got 1 or 2 points. So a lot of the big names were at the back. And we saw great performances from Edoardo Mortara, who after that overtake, he got past René Rast as well and got 2nd place. René Rast, on his first full season in Formula E, he got a podium. So he is doing a great job moving over from DTM. And most embarrassingly for me, Neo scored a point when I said I think they at best will score a point all year. So they've already proved me wrong. Moving on to the second race, which actually proved to be just as exciting. There's a great qualifying from Freins. He got on pole. He's a good driver. I do like Robin Freins. Again, it was a very mixed up grid. Mortara didn't start because he had a crash in free practice 3, which I've seen on YouTube. It looks like he was doing a practice start and the car just kept going and he hit a wall. So he wasn't in the race. Both Van Dorn and De Vries were at the back, as well as a few other big names. Buemi was at the back again. But the Neos and Dragons are right up the top end of the grid. And the Techeetahs were a little bit behind them. So it was an interesting mixed grid again. And again, the first 20 minutes were pretty tame. There was a few overtakes. Neos and Dragons started to drop back and there's cars moving through the field and there's a little bit of strategy going on with attack mode and whatnot. Then Jake Dennis got taken out the race by Wehrlein. It looked to be quite a rude manoeuvre. Pascal Wehrlein basically steered him into the wall. I don't think he was penalised for it, so who knows, but I thought it was a bit of a rude manoeuvre. But that brought out the safety car, which again bunched everyone up, and the Dragons and the not Mahindras, what were they? Neos. The Dragons and Neos were slowly dropping back through the field. It looked like it was going to be a really exciting end to the race with Freins and Bird fighting for the lead and the Techeetahs behind. And it was at that point that Verne tried to overtake da Costa, and over the next 2 or 3 corners they got into each other and there was a little bit of contact and it looked like they were going to hit the wall. They both managed to get away with it. The problem is they have two top-class drivers. They're both champions. Vern's the only double champion. But you basically have the last three champions in the same team. There's always going to be conflict because they both want to be the best. There's no second driver here. It is them fighting for first. So it's always a danger if you have this open playing field where there's no team orders. It's just go for it and try not to hit each other. But in the heat of battle, inevitably there will be contact, and there was, and it was a lot of contact, and they were very lucky to get away with it. Unfortunately for Vern, when the red flag came out, which I'll get to in a second, he hadn't taken his second attack mode, and I think he got penalised for it, along with a few other drivers. So Vern actually came out of the first two Formula E races with no points, which is a big hit to his championship chances. I think he had a bad start to last year as well. But Techeetah looked strong, and they were using last year's car, and they're going to have a new updated model for the next race. So Techeetah looked dangerous. Other big losers, Nissan lost out quite badly as well. I don't think Bremy scored any points, because he was the one who got into an incident with Alex Lynn, which we didn't see on camera because I think Alex Lynn was, I guess, slightly injured, because I think he was declared fine shortly after the race, but he was upside down and taken to hospital. Happy that he's okay. There was another incident as well, which I think was Gunther on Roland, and Gunther came off worse. I think Gunther on Blomqvist, actually. And Gunther tried to dive bomb Blomqvist, hit him, and I think he came out a lot worse. Shame for Blomqvist because he was on for points and this took him out of it. But Oliver Turvey scored another couple of points for Neo, so they had a very good weekend. Dragon had an amazing weekend as well. They finished 4th and 5th, so they've probably scored more points in that one race than they did the last couple of years. So, hey, good for them. And Sam Bird, he got past Robin Frines. Again, it was with the strategy with the attack mode. And Sam Bird is the only driver to win in every season of Formula E, which is quite an achievement for someone who's never won the championship. I don't think he's finished higher than 3rd. I don't know if he can sustain it over a whole year, but I do like Sam Bird. It'll be interesting with Jaguar now instead of Virgin how well he can do. Frines was 2nd. Frines is a very good driver as well. Nick Cassidy had a great race, and I was looking forward to the debut of Nick Cassidy. Unfortunately, I think he got penalised as well, so I think he comes out of Saudi Arabia with no points. But I think he showed a lot of talent. He made quite a few overtakes to get up the field. Nick Cassidy is definitely one to watch. So yeah, my overall summing up thoughts for Formula E, it was a very exciting start to the season, and I can't wait for the next round, because I think Formula E is probably one of the most entertaining forms of motorsport around nowadays, and I always really look forward to the races. Moving on to the WRC, I haven't really got too much to say about it overall. Ott Tanak won. He was pretty dominant from the start, I think, so he's a great driver. I think this is his 14th victory in the WRC. So he's doing a great job, and he's probably putting himself back up there as a title threat after the disappointment of Monte Carlo. The young drivers, Rovanperä did amazing. I am honestly shocked he didn't win. I think he had a real chance this weekend, but he finished 2nd. It's a great result for him, and he's really coming together as a solid driver, as are Katsuta and Oliver Solberg. Katsuta, I think they finished 6th and 7th. But Katsuta, 2 6th places in a row. He has made huge gains over the summer. He looks like over the winter, I mean. He looks like a great driver. I think he will step up to the main Toyota team at some point. And as well, Oliver Solberg, he did a really great job. This was his WRC debut, and he finished 7th. And he was on it all weekend, so he's done a great job. Ogier made a mistake, I think, on the last corner of the last stage of day 2, and he ended up in the snowbank. Shame for him, he rarely makes mistakes, and this will hurt his championship, but he's still a threat. Honestly, Ogier tends to make one mistake a year, and if this is it, then the rest of the year he's going to be on it. So I think he's still favourite for the championship. Well, at the moment, I think Rovanperä actually leads the championship. So there's that. Neuville, I think, got on the podium for the 2nd rally in a row, so I think Neuville's right up the top as well. Not a lot to say about it. It was all entertaining. It's interesting to have a different rally on the calendar, because normally it's Sweden. They couldn't do Sweden, so the Arctic Circle in Finland means 2 Finnish rallies on the calendar. But this was actually a great rally, and I think they should either have it on the calendar or alternate it with the Thousand Lakes, which I don't think they'll do, because that's probably one of the most historic rallies on the calendar alongside Monte Carlo. Finally, we'll go on to V8 Supercars in Australia, because they were at Bathurst, which was weird. to see this early in the season, starting it off at Bathurst. You normally don't see Bathurst till right at the end of the year when you have the Bathurst 1000, and we will be going back to Bathurst. When I think of Bathurst, I think of carnage and chaos, because there's usually a lot of incidents, but this was actually fairly tame by Bathurst standards. Cameron Waters and Tim Slade did a great job to get on the front row, and I think that shows that Triple Eight Racing and DJR are not going to have it all their own way. I think this year could be a very competitive year in the series, and it's the last time we'll see the Holdens as well, because it looks like they'll be changing to the Camaros next year, which will be interesting as well. But I will miss the Holden brand. It's a historic brand, and I associate Holden with V8 Supercars more than anything else. So this is a sad loss, but the championship will move forward. As for the race, it wasn't massively interesting. Anton De Pasquale was the first casualty, and as your DJR debut, you end it in the wall. It's a bit of a shame. He was doing quite well up to that point. Tim Slade crashed as well, did a lot of damage. Cameron Waters was leading, and it looked like it was his race, and he had issues as well. I think it was power steering took him out of the race, and that left Shane Van Gisbergen to take the win with relative ease, although Chaz Mostert was closing him down. Will Davison in the other DJR debut, he did a good job in third. So it looks like a very competitive championship after that first race. Second race was less so. I think Van Gisbergen ran away with this one fairly early on. I think Cameron Waters, I think it was his pit crew made a mistake and left him out too long, and they fueled him too much, and that let Van Gisbergen close up to him and then get past him when Waters was on colder tyres. James Courtney had a big crash. He's a champion, well, a former champion. I think he's a great driver, but I think his day has come and gone. But yeah, so as I said, Shane Van Gisbergen won again. He has entered 5 races in 2021 and won all of them. So I think Shane Van Gisbergen is on a charge and is going to be hard to stop. We didn't see much from Jamie Whincup. He was back in the pack a little bit. I think he finished 7th and 8th. It's not what you expect better from Whincup, really, but he is getting on a bit in terms of age. He's been there a long time. But we saw great results from Mark Winterbottom, Will Davison, Anton De Pasquale, Tim Slade was on it, Chaz Mostert was on it, Cameron Waters. It looks like it's going to be a very competitive year in V8 Supercars. If you don't watch it, you really should, because it is really good racing. This wasn't the best example, but it's always worth checking out the V8 Supercars, because usually something happens. And it's one of the best racing series out there, really. And it's a shame that Holden are going, but they're going to hopefully keep the Ford versus GM Motors battle going, I guess. General Motors. So that was the weekend's action. We had 2 Formula E races, 2 V8 Supercar races, and a rally to look at. It was all good stuff. NASCAR happened as well. I haven't paid attention to it, so I don't know what happened in that. And other than that, I think there's maybe a few smaller GT races. I haven't seen them, haven't paid attention to them. But it was a good weekend. The racing was relatively entertaining. The Formula E was very, very good. The rallying was good. And the V8 Supercars was okay. All worth checking out. Next weekend, there is absolutely nothing. There is nothing on the schedule. All these racing series are now bunched up and starting around... I think a few are starting around the end of March. Most of them are starting like May and June. So we were still way away from everything kicking off. But it's a weird calendar still, which is obvious. There's obvious reasons for that. But yeah, as I said, next week there is nothing. I think there's a few race series the weekend after. Maybe in Formula 1. I haven't really checked. I think Formula 1's 3 weeks away. But it's... motorsport seasons are kicking off now, so it's worth subscribing to this channel. I've had a big lot of subscribers recently. You could be one of them. So, with that, leave a comment. Tell me what you thought of this weekend's racing. Like, share the video, whatever you want to do. Remember to subscribe. Thank you for watching, and have a good one.